Hey, I'm a Ween. Hey, you're a Ween. And you're watching Scream.
Well, that was perfect.
Heidi ho, everybody! My name's Thomas, and that's London. And we're the Weens behind the screen, telling you what to watch and when to watch it, live at Comic-Con.
Alright, I just want to clear a couple things up. We are not live at Comic-Con. But yeah, I'm London. Okay, so let's start off with an ad read from our sponsor, Parasite by
Bong Joon-ho, starring Song Kang-ho. Cinematography by William H. Macy. Could you imagine William H. Because he's been doing some directing and stuff. Could you imagine if he just was like, yeah, I'm the cinematographer for this critically acclaimed South Korean film?
That, it'd be a pretty, wild career change, but I'd be okay with it as long as he did a good job. If he did a shit job, I'd go, William H. Macy, stick to acting.
Stick to Mystery Men, you fucking thing.
Yeah, where the fuck is Wild Hogs 2 at?
Bring back Tim Allen, Martin Lawrence, John Travolta.
And you could do the cinematography for that movie.
Have you seen Wild Hogs?
Yeah, I saw it when it first came out.
That was my dad's favorite movie. Because he was a fucking biker. And
my dad was not a biker. But...
Do you remember when Ty was in the post-credit scene? Ty from Extreme Makeover Home Edition?
There was a post-credit scene?
Yeah, it was during the credit scene.
Oh.
Do you remember they blew up the biker bar? Do you not remember the entire plot to Wild Hogs?
I remember, Tim Allen's having, a midlife crisis, and then...
They're all having a midlife crisis.
I remember them, making fun of him for it at, the dinner table.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Dad is, his life's halfway over, and he's done nothing but work this suburban job and amount to anything except for, raising us stupid fucking kids that are going to make fun of him for having a midlife crisis. And then Tim Allen's just like, fuck, I need a motorcycle. And so he gets William H.
They already had motorcycles.
No, I'm telling this movie how I remember.
Oh!
So he gets a motorcycle. He gets William H. Macy, and he's like, we need to find a token black guy. So they go to Martin Lawrence. And then they're like, now we need somebody who can pass as Italian. And they get John Travolta. And then, they go to this southern county with a deaf deputy. And,
yes. Remember when William H. Macy eats the spicy food?
I don't remember that. Don't they get, almost lynched at the end? I'm sorry. Spoilers.
Spoilers for the 2005, 7, somewhere around that, Wild Hogs.
I deeply apologize to anybody who might have been listening and going, man, Wild Hogs has been on my watch list for 7 years. Since I found out about this movie, I was sleeping when it came out. And
I've been sleeping for 12 years.
I've been spending the last 6 months watching the accumulative filmographies of William H. Macy, Martin Lawrence, John Travolta, and Tim Allen to build up to the peak in all of their careers.
I just fucking finished Home Improvement.
I watched all fucking, 9/11? I don't know how many fucking...
9/11. Tim did 9/11.
I didn't mean to stack those numbers together. It's just
what?
lying in my subconscious. Okay.
Welcome to the fucking Wild Hogs podcast, where we exclusively sell Wild Hogs merch and talk about Wild Hogs. Not just the movie, but also the animal.
Wouldn't Wild Hogs be much better if it had Pipple Rick in it?
No.
I mean, I don't think it could be much worse.
I mean, I don't think it's the worst movie you could watch.
I remember, every joke I remember from that movie makes me, cringe on the inside a little bit.
Yeah, I remember laughing a lot when I was a kid, though.
I remember laughing a lot when I was a kid.
They think they're gay.
See, I keep, like, imagining scenes from the movie, but they're false memories from Christmas with the Cranks. I'm like, doesn't Tim Allen have a wicked tan in that movie? And I'm like, oh no, that's...
Doesn't he, like, become Santa?
Yeah. Doesn't he fight Martin Short? And then himself?
And the wrong order.
Yeah, I know I was going backwards. I jumped from Santa Claus 3 to 2.
First one? Ah, the cops.
I haven't seen the first one in so long. That's probably the one I remember, like, the least out of the 3.
I mean, the only one I genuinely, like, enjoy is the second one. And I don't even think it's very good. I just enjoy it.
I remember a scene where the very shiny Tim Allen is asking for some hot chocolate. And he, like, drinks it and it's hot.
I love hot cocoa!
I forgot he made that, like, stupid fucking, like, locked jaw face in that.
Are you saying that wasn't actually a toy version of Tim Allen that they made?
Yeah, the fucking marketing team for that one was like, what sells better than Tim Allen toys? I mean, look at how successful Toy Story was. Alright, well...
Do we want to keep talking about Tim Allen, or...
Yeah, we should probably jump into the list soon, so this is...
I guess, but hold on real quick.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about spaghetti. Dogs.
And my gain is too high on my mic, so I'm gonna Okay, and we're back with Tim Allen here. Tim Allen, how you doing?
I was gonna honestly try to do a Tim Allen impression.
So, here's a rundown of our podcast. I'm London.
I'm Thomas.
That's Thomas. We like movies. Occasionally we have alright opinions on them.
Yeah, occasionally. Well,
So,
I like to think that I'm more, like, left-leaning than right-leaning. But, you know, that's... I don't want to, like, say that on the podcast, because it might, like, scare away some of our potential views.
Like,
from
are we
racist
talking
people.
about political ideologies now? Are we talking about those types of...
Because you said we have all right opinions. You know, I'm not all right, you know.
We have alt-right opinions. I get this joke here. Yeah, haha. Anyway, when we're not having all-right opinions, we're making super shitty jokes.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of them might land sometimes. Occasionally.
So our format here, usually what we'll be doing is every week, one of us will make a suggestion for a film that has come out within the last 25 years, and then the other person will suggest a film that has come out not in the last 25 years.
Yeah, one classic choice, one modern choice.
And then we'll watch those, come back, talk about them, and then switch those roles and pick more films.
Yep.
But today, we're going to be talking about our 15 favorite films.
For a total of hopefully 30 movies, assuming that we don't have any...
I feel like we'll have probably at least 2. Maybe. At least 1.
At least 1. Okay.
I'm guessing at least 1. I think I can even guess 5 of the films on your list.
Okay.
Should I write them down?
Yeah, you should write them down, because I don't want to spoil my list.
Yeah.
I want to know if you're right or not. I can probably guess. Well, earlier I was banking. I'm like, I can guess like 11 of them on his list. Because I
talk about them a lot.
Well, no, I was like adding up every Star Wars movie that's been like released, and then I added one other movie that you talk about on there, and I basically was like, alright, that just leaves like 3 movies for him that I wouldn't know. But I figured you'd probably realistically work around that.
Now, just for me at least, I have a lot of favorite movies, so whittling them down to 15 was a big toughie for me. So
yeah,
I guess these aren't necessarily set in stone. These are just kind of to get, what does London like? Kind of get a feel for what I like. Maybe you like them too. Maybe I'll be the superior ween to your screen.
Yeah, I also had a pretty hard time choosing my movies. There were movies that are on here, and a lot of them are just like personal favorites. So they're not like what I think are like the greatest movies or anything like that. They're just movies that I thoroughly enjoy watching. They bring me joy every time I watch them, and I probably have watched them quite a few times in my life. And I'll probably watch them quite a few more times. But maybe one day we can do, like, not anytime soon, I don't want to, like, set it in stone, but if we ever get to, like, 100 episodes, maybe we can do our, like, fucking top 100 where we each give, like, fucking 50 or something. I don't know.
It'll go on for, like, 6 hours.
Yeah, it'll go on
because we'll be spending 5 hours talking about Wild Hogs.
Well, fuck, dude. If Joe Rogan can upload, like, fucking 7-hour podcasts...
About Wild Hogs? Has he done that?
I don't know about the movie, but he talks about wildlife a lot. So, maybe.
Also, all of these movies that are on my list, I've seen all of them at least twice, most of them much more. One of them I've only seen once, but it left such a lasting impression on me that I had to put it on there because I need to talk about it.
I made the decision to not include anything that I had only seen once. Because I was really close to putting one particular movie on there.
Shit, that was okay.
But that me and him watched not too long ago. I'm sure he knows exactly what fucking movie I'm talking about.
I've actually meant to rewatch this film that's on my list too.
I didn't rewatch any of the films on my list just simply because I didn't have time to. But yeah. I feel like with the majority of these movies, I know them well enough. There's only one or two on here that I feel a slight kind of disconnect, like on terms of like the rest of them. But overall, I'd say these are probably my favorite movies. Might interchange, but yeah. So, who's going first?
Iago from Aladdin is now joining us.
Did I sound like Gilbert Gottfried when I screamed?
I mean, kinda. There was a hint of it.
Okay.
Anyway, now that we're back from our little break, because somebody died, Thomas shit his pants.
I did. I'm sorry about getting on the chair and on the floor.
We had to throw away the chair. Thomas is just sitting on the ground with no pants on now.
Yeah. Well, I've got a towel. They were nice enough to give me a towel. I promise you, I'll buy you a new towel.
It was just a paper towel. It's a roll of paper towels wrapped around.
I'll buy you a new roll of paper towels because I feel bad about it, okay?
Anyway, we're going to start listing off our 15 favorite films, and we'll be switching off every film. Did you write down a list of the ones you think are on my list?
No, I didn't. Let me do that real quick.
Yeah. And then do you want to begin after that?
Sure, I can begin after that. How many did we say?
Ghost just however many you think are on there. I added 5, but I already know one is not on there, so I got a little fucked, but you can probably get... I think I talk about my favorite films too much for this game here. Because I don't really know how to talk in a conversation, so I just end up talking about my favorite films. I'm like, yeah, that's my personality trait. I love, Wild Hogs.
Fuck. Alright, I've only got 3 right now, because...
Okay, we'll talk about your first, and then as we go, if you remember any.
So, at number 15 on my list, I have The Thing from 1982, directed by John Carpenter.
I can't believe I didn't put that on. I'm a dumbass. I knew that too, but I couldn't think of it. But
yeah. So, oh fuck, we didn't. My goal was to not talk about spoilers.
Okay.
Just to kind of like loosely give like maybe like a brief synopsis on the movie, and then without spoiling it, trying to talk about like some of the aspects of why you put it on your favorite list, whether it be for personal nostalgic reasons or you really appreciate the filmmaking. This is one where I really appreciate the filmmaking, the special effects. When I think of like peak special effects, there are two movies that come to mind. The other movie
and Wild Hogs.
The other movie is on this list. But I don't
Wild Hogs is on your list?
Yes, Wild Hogs is on my list. But this is like a movie that I think peak practical effects.
I thought you were going to say peak Sprite. I'm like, what?
No, I started saying peak practical effects. I was like, that's not right. Peak practical effects. Like, this movie just looks so fucking good. Whenever they, like, show the monster, it's, like, in the shadows. They did the lighting on it, like, just right. And basically, like, every time they cut to a new shot of it, it's, like, a different thing they had to build. And it's just so amazing that all this stuff was made by hand. I'm just, like, fucking dumbfounded. I can't even fucking cook food properly, and someone's out there doing this shit. So, the basic synopsis of the film is there's a bunch of Antarctic researchers, and they come in contact with an alien that can take the form of anybody that it eats. So it kind of becomes like this, not infected, but who's the alien, who's the false one of us, and the tension of the movie is really good. The soundtrack is really good. The like main theme of the movie was written by John Carpenter, or it was like remixed by John Carpenter, but it was written by Ennio Morricone, who did like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He does tons of films. Your friend who was over here a couple weeks ago, Franco.
Yes.
You can censor that out if you want. I just want
No. Yeah, I'm going to censor a first name. Oh, no.
It's a kind of unique first name, so I wasn't sure. I haven't come across very much.
James Franco.
Yeah. But he brought up Ennio Morricone.
Okay.
I don't know if you were here for that particular.
I was hiding. I was in the closet.
That was the week that you were gone for part of the day.
Yes, it was.
Because Joe cut off his fucking finger.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah, and don't worry about that. But the thing I really like about the theme is it's like, it starts off with this like dun dun, like this really like synthetic sounding like heartbeat sound, and I feel like that's such an interesting thing because it's like imitating to be a human heartbeat, which perfectly aligns with like what's happening in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just full of a bunch of like creative little details like that. There's lots of ambiguity and like the certainty of the film. I just really like it. It's one of my favorites. I've only seen it probably maybe like 4 times, so I'm not as well versed with this movie as some of the other ones on my list. But I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it somehow, if you've been living under a rock since 1982, go check out this movie.
Is that 82? What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the
Came out the same year as E.T., I believe, and then E.T. fucking absolutely wrecked this movie in the box office.
I think most of my films are like 2000 or later, because I'm a fucking goober.
Most of my films are from the 80s. There's a couple 70s, and there's a couple modern ones. Surprisingly, I have nothing pre-1970 though. So
and I have 2.
there were some that I almost put on the list, but they just barely. I was like, I gotta give it to this other movie. So what can I say? Movies from the 60s that are in black and white fucking suck. I'm just kidding. Obviously, I fucking... Okay, whatever.
Thomas hates movies. We figured it out. My number 15 is the 2016 John Carney directed Sing Street.
Oh.
The end cap to his unofficial trilogy of films that was Once, Begin Again, and Sing Street. I really, really fucking like music, and I really, really like low-budget films that are like kind of slice-of-life films. And Sing Street is the perfect amalgamation of everything that John Carney was trying to do with Once, and he pretty much succeeded with Once, but he just made everything just a little bit better with Sing Street. All of the actors are maybe not unknown, but they have an amateur sense to them, so every emotion that they bring out of themselves feels a lot more raw than like professional and big name actors can pull off. That's why, like, in Begin Again, America's like, we loved Once, make a movie with Adam Levine in it, and CeeLo Green, and Keira Knightley, and James Corden, and Mark Ruffalo, and Haley Steinfeld. And he did, and it was good, but it loses the rawness. Everything felt a little too manufactured. In Sing Street, you get the rawness, you get the realness, you get the love for Ireland, and everything. And I think it's the perfect film to capture the 80s, because everything is there, but it's not just all the good stuff. It's not being like, the 80s was super cool. Everything's just a bit shit.
Does it like throw the setting in your face?
No,
because I haven't seen this movie. Like,
it is about a kid. This is the basis of the movie. He's a high schooler. He's 15 years old. He finds a sexy girl, and he lies to her about him being in a band to impress her. So then he forms a band because of this. So the only things that the 80s are really there are, like, the outfits. The dialogue is 80s. It feels 80s. And a lot of the music choices. And a lot of what their music is inspired by. Like, Rio by Duran Duran is a very big song in the film. Not just for the film itself, but for the character of Conor Lawler. And I fucking love the film. It's really, really good. Whoops. And it has a really, really killer soundtrack. Not just the original songs, but all the songs they chose to put in it are fucking iconic. And I love that movie so much. I just rewatched it probably 5 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my number 15. Yeehaw. Jack Raynor's in it too. And he's one of the main characters in Ari Aster's new film, Midsommar.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm very excited to see him in something good. Because he's in some stuff, but it's just all seems a bit shit.
Oh.
Like, he was in Kin last year. Do you remember seeing a trailer for that?
Not off the top of my head. I might have seen...
It was like him and his adopted brother who was black, and he finds a big alien gun.
Yeah, okay.
Which actually, the trailer looked okay. I thought, this could be okay.
Yeah, I thought it looked a little on the kind of generic side, but I had kind of a a similar thought where I'm like, this could be okay.
I like the idea of, family
Isn't James
dramas.
Franco in that movie?
I think he's the villain in it.
Yeah.
Just like real life.
Got him.
I like family dramas that are centered around some weird fucking thing. That's why I enjoyed The Quiet Place or A Quiet Place, because it was this weird horror movie with these aliens. There's you gotta be quiet, but at the center it's the weird drama about family.
You might enjoy not my from my top 15 list, but my film recommendation for this week.
Ooh, I'm excited.
It's kind of like that.
Okay.
I find it funny that your number 15 and my number 15 are both in loose director trilogies, because The Thing is also in a loose trilogy.
Yeah, what is that?
With Prince of Darkness
and Mountains of Madness? Or?
In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness. Which I have not seen either of those.
I haven't seen either of them either.
I would love to watch Prince of Darkness soon.
I know Michael really wants to watch Prince of Darkness, so we should watch that with him.
Oh, okay.
Okay, my number 14. Let me unlock my phone so I can see it. My number 14 is Gremlins. I fucking love Gremlins.
Dude, Gremlins isn't on my list.
Oh, shit.
Which is surprising, because I love that.
Originally...
Wait, is it? Hold on.
Originally, I had Who Framed Roger Rabbit at this spot in my list. And then Gremlins came to my mind, and I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but get the fuck out of here. Gremlins.
That's like peak Joe Dante.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I haven't seen most Joe Dante films, but I fucking love Gremlins.
I've seen a few of them. I've seen the 2 Gremlins movies. I've seen Inner Space.
I've been meaning to watch Inner Space for a while.
I like it. And
I really want to watch Matinee with John Goodman.
I like Matinee. That's another one I saw of his. Where do I even fucking begin with this movie? Gremlins is just a great little creature flick. It takes a lot of inspiration from the previous decades for cinema, just like Steven Spielberg typically likes to do with his movies. It's great. It's about this teen... I guess he's an adult. I always perceived him as a teenager, but he works at a bank.
Yeah,
so I guess he's like a young adult.
20.
Yeah, he lives with his parents. It's Christmas. He receives a gift from his father, which is this little furry creature called a mogwai. And they've got 3 important rules. Don't feed them after midnight, don't get them wet, and don't expose them to sunlight. Needless to say, the rules aren't followed, and what results from it are a bunch of little green monsters running around terrorizing the town on Christmas. I'm sure most people have probably fucking heard of this movie, so I don't think I need to talk much on it. Special effects are great. I really like the soundtrack to it.
The theme of that, the Gremlins theme, is so good.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking about like horror movie soundtracks, like themes, like main themes, I think that's the best. Like, legitimately, when you're thinking of like things like Halloween or stuff, like, I like the Halloween theme. It's a good theme, but Gremlins is so good.
Alright, I'm gonna come in here with a kind of hot take for my own pick. I think the Gremlins theme is more iconic, but I personally like the Gremlins 2 theme a little more.
Ooh.
Personally. It's got a little bit more spice to it.
Gremlins 2 is a really interesting film.
I also really like Gremlins 2. The director basically knew he couldn't top the first movie and he didn't want to make a sequel.
Weird.
But they really wanted him to make a sequel, so he's like, fine, I'll just make a fucking cartoon, essentially. Yeah. And that's what he did.
And it worked.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a really different film.
The Gremlins' personality really easily translates into that, though. But yeah, it's a great movie. Check it out if you haven't somehow.
Also, the mom is super fucking badass.
Yeah, she is.
I'm not going to say anything else, but... Okay. I should go to my number 14. I forgot what we were doing. My number 14, we just watched... like a month ago, probably? No, that was a while ago. Fuck. But, probably about 3 months ago now. 2.5, maybe. The 2007 Paul Thomas Anderson film, There Will Be Blood.
Great fucking movie.
I, don't even want to tell anyone about this film. I just want them to go see it. But it's about an oil man. He comes to a town where Paul Dano is a priest, a preacher.
He's got a twin brother, which I had no idea for the longest fucking time.
Thomas doesn't pay attention to
movies. Oh my god. I had seen this movie probably I don't know, maybe 3 times before we watched it not too long ago. And then Michael brought up the fact that he has a twin brother in the movie, and everything just clicked. I was like, oh my god, this movie makes 90 times more sense now.
Anyway, Daniel Day-Lewis is at his absolute top of his game in this film. It's incredible. And Paul Dano plays such a great role as well. And the film's just so fucking good with, like, religion versus money and, like, weird... there's so many different themes.
This
like,
is a dense fucking movie.
It's like, the pacing is so fucking good. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and at least for me, it fucking flies by. I'm on, like, the edge of my seat every time I watch that movie.
The
cinematography is so good. The scene with the fire, that's all I'm gonna say, is incredible.
Yeah, holy shit.
Oh, that movie's incredible. All of these films I'm gonna be saying are incredible, but this movie's incredible.
Here comes someone at the fucking keyboard who's like, you know what, London? I think There Will Be Blood is a shit tier Paul Thomas Anderson movie, and anyone who disagrees with me is wrong. Boogie Nights is Pete Anderson.
I've seen 30 minutes of Boogie Nights and I fell asleep.
I like Boogie Nights.
I watched it
but obviously I was shitposting there. I like There Will Be Blood is probably my favorite out of what I've seen of him.
I think I've only seen 2. If I'm gonna be real,
I've seen his first 4 movies, which is
no, I've seen 3. Sorry,
I've seen Heartache, Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, Punch Drunk Love.
Have you seen Magnolia?
I've seen Magnolia. I've seen
Punch Drunk Love, Magnolia, and There Will Be Blood.
I've also seen Inherent Vice, so I've seen 6 of his movies.
Look at you, the real Paul Thomas Anderson fan.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
I've only seen most of them once.
Number 13 for Thomas Gryphone.
Sorry, I'm on my phone. It keeps locking when I set it down. My number 13 is this little movie from 1985. It's directed by Tom Holland, who directed Child's Play.
Wow, is this on your list?
Yeah, this is on my list, and I'll explain a little bit why. This is a movie called Fright Night. When I was 12 years old, I had this movie fucking memorized. I would be, like, at school or, like, in an event that I didn't want to be at, and I would just, like, close my eyes, and I would watch Fright Night in my fucking head. I loved this movie when I was 12. And, you know what? I fucking love it now. It's a great fucking...
No, I agree. Like, I really like both this and the remake. Really like.
I went and saw the remake in theaters thinking... I was like, I'm gonna fucking hate this.
Because the remake's such a different film.
It is. It is really different. But it's good. I still like the remake. I've got probably more problems with the remake than I do with the original.
Oh, I do too.
But, which is why I obviously picked the original over it. But
speaking of Child's Play, you brought that up because I watched it yesterday and really did not enjoy it. Which is fine. I'm not going to enjoy every film.
I personally really liked the first Child's Play.
However, the only thing I really liked in Child's Play is was it Chris Sarandon?
Yeah.
I thought he was really good in that, and I think he's one of the main reasons that Fright Night is so good.
Yes.
Him as the antagonist is incredible.
Yeah, so basic plot synopsis for Fright Night is it's your typical oh god.
Vampire?
No, I blanked on the name of the movie I was going to reference. The fucking Hitchcock... Rear Window. It's basically like Rear Window with vampires. Or, for some of you who might not know what Rear Window is, it's like Disturbia starring Shia LaBeouf, except for vampires. Have you...
That's going to be my pick. No.
I remember liking Disturbia, but I haven't watched it since I was like 12, along with a lot of movies. Because I watched... probably more movies when I was 12 than I have at any other age. Maybe. Probably.
I watch a lot of movies now. This is the most I watch.
I watch a lot of movies now, but I go on, like, different...
You're like, I'm gonna watch all of an anime instead.
Like, March? I went ham in March. I watched so many fucking movies in March. And then
I'm about to hit 400 for the year.
I don't know what I have for this year. Probably not 400. Not even fucking close. But
yeah. I'm steadily been watching like 2 or 3 a day for the past 6 months.
Yeah, I sometimes decide to go, I'm going to play video games or I'm going to watch some anime. I take different slotted times for my different mediums. But anyway, that's besides the point. Fright Night's about this kid named Charlie Brewster. He's a kind of just white, nerdy, suburban kid who likes horror movies. He's got a girlfriend, played by Amanda Bierce, who is in Married with Children as Marcy.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that. That's weird.
Yeah. That is... Because every time I, like, watch the movie, I'm like, oh, there's Marcy Darcy. Yeah, so basically he discovers his next-door neighbor is a vampire, and the whole movie is just kind of him trying to convince people around him that this is a like Jerry Dandridge's neighbor is a vampire. He's got like an even nerdier friend who's in the horror movies named Ed, but they call him like Evil Ed, and he's like picked on a lot. There's his girlfriend.
In the remake, he's played by McLovin.
Yeah, he's played by McLovin in the remake. And then, yeah, it's a great movie. He goes to, like, this TV host who's, like, a washed-up horror movie actor from, like, the 50s named Peter Vincent. Fun fact, that's PB and J of 2 famous classic horror actors. Peter Cushing from the old Hammer movies, and Vincent Price.
Who's that played by?
Roddy McDowall.
Ah, yes. He's great.
Yeah, no, he's great.
I think the performance, like, all around in the film are great.
Yeah, it's just this great little 80s vampire movie. It does a really good job at blending what was modern for the time with, like, the classics, like classic vampire archetypes, and it's great. I really like this movie. London really liked it when I recommended it to him when I first met him.
Yeah, I think I watched that and the remake like almost back to back. I really loved both of them. Yeah. I do like the original more, but the remake is that. There are many films I show people when they're like, remakes don't ever add anything of value, and that's one of them.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty solid remake. If you're looking for your fix after you watch the original, watch the remake. Don't watch the sequel to the original.
I heard part 2's okay.
I saw it. I think it's pretty bad.
Should we watch the sequel to the remake?
I never watched the sequel to the remake. I heard
it was terrible.
I'm sure it was, because it was like straight to DVD.
Yeah, nobody was in it.
Yeah.
Nobody. Not even like no name. There was nobody. It was just a screen.
It's just like
a still image.
It's just like
stick figures.
Text will appear. And like,
it's a choose your own adventure game.
It's just like, this is the sequel to the Fright Night remake. Okay, yeah. What's your number 13?
So, fun fact, there are 3 sequels on my list. This being the first.
I'm ready for it. Is it what I think it is?
2004. Sam Raimi.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2, motherfuckers.
Okay.
Tobey Maguire will forever be the greatest Spider-Man to bless our hearts. I, for one, actually really like superhero movies. I don't believe in superhero fatigue. Just like I don't really believe in fatigue for any genre. As long as you add in fresh ideas, there'll always be room for things. The problem is these fresh ideas just occasionally run out because there's not enough people with new ideas working on these things.
I think superhero fatigue definitely exists, but I don't think it exists as a product of the films, but a product of the consumer. Superhero fatigue is something that I think affects marketability. If you've got this little indie superhero movie and you got to compete against fucking Marvel, DC, and any other studio that might own any like third-party superhero properties, that they're gonna just slay you in the marketing. people will be less inclined to see your film because there's a lot of superhero movies. But anyway, go forth.
But this is the only superhero movie on the list, don't worry. But I do think that this still it's my favorite superhero movie, and I do legitimately believe it's the best superhero movie we've gotten. I think that the performances are really fucking good, especially when looking at Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina. He elevates Doc Ock as a character higher than I would think is possible. Like, he's incredible in the role. And not just him in the role, but the visual effects that they do on his arms are still really good today, in my opinion. I fucking love Doc Ock. He's like my favorite villain.
Something I've noticed with a lot of old CGI from like when CGI was still coming out. Anytime they do like an effect with like metal or anything like that, it doesn't date as bad. Because I was watching like Terminator 2, and I'm like, the CGI in this doesn't look fucking awful.
It's because metal doesn't have that much of a texture.
Exactly. It's just all about the like reflection or the shine.
Also, Aunt May's amazing in this movie.
Yeah, that's.
And I do like. I know some of my friends don't like Mary Jane's character in any of the trilogy films, but I personally think she's a welcome addition, and she adds a lot to her relationship with Peter. Adds a lot to the story, even if she's kind of a dumbass bitch. No,
I think she's kind of a MacGuffin, but that's
because you're a dumbass. So. Got him.
We'll probably eventually end up doing like a fucking full episode on the Spider-Man, I'm sure. Because me and London are both pretty big Spider-Man fans.
Also, I'm just gonna say it. There has never been a more iconic scene in a superhero film than the train scene.
I'd have to think if I was going to try to argue that. Because
the whole fight on the train is breathtaking. And when he's pulling the things without getting into spoilers. And then when they did the mask and if you haven't seen this movie, go fucking watch it, dude.
Yeah.
Also watch the first. I do think the first is really good also, but not quite as good as the second. And I like the third, so sue me.
I enjoyed the third.
I think it's incredible. I keep saying incredible.
Oh man, dude, it's totally epic. All right,
So
now it's time to take my vow. I'm never saying epic again. Off mic earlier, I swore to never say epic again.
You just said it again.
Well, okay. Well, if I'm referring to the word, I'm going to say it, but I'm not going to.
What word?
What
Those
did
are
I
my
say?
thoughts on Spider-Man.
What did I say earlier? Kype. I had to get real close and enunciate that really good, so no one mistook it for the wrong word.
Epic backwards now. So yeah, those are my thoughts. My short thoughts on Spider-Man 2, starring Tobey Maguire, Alfred Molina, James Franco, Kirsten Dunst.
I don't know the actress's name for Aunt May.
Yeah, I feel terrible.
Oh, we're forgetting the best part of the fucking movie.
What?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, dude. I specifically didn't. J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. Like,
yeah.
They cannot recast.
They haven't recast.
Like,
it
if they put him in the MCU, they need to have J.K. Simmons.
I'm pretty sure he's
like the guy who voiced him in Spider-Man PS4 did a pretty good job too.
Yeah,
but the physical appearance that J.K. Simmons has too is beautiful. Is amazing.
Yeah,
he's amazing in that. I really like him in Spider-Man 3 also.
Yeah, no, he's a great like kind of comedic side character. He doesn't really bring much of like an emotional character, but he's got his moments. There's one moment in particular from
Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2, yeah.
He actually has character development that he goes back on, but it's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Sam Raimi's a god. Thanks.
God damn it, I didn't need to open a new note. Number 12 for me is this little movie from 1973. It is directed by Brian De Palma, and it is called Phantom of the Paradise.
I did guess that one.
Yeah, this movie, I discovered it probably like 2 years ago at this point, and I had never seen it before then, and it fucking blew my mind. It is a, like, mashup adaptation of The Picture of Dorian Gray, The Phantom of the Opera, and Faust. And basically, if you don't know what any of those stories are, there's this dude who writes this opera and this...
William Finley? That was his name?
Yeah, I don't remember the characters' names off the top of my head.
Finley and Swan. And
Yeah. And,
Swan.
Jessica Harper, who is in Suspiria, is in this movie. The
the
original
sexy.
Suspiria.
She's a beautiful woman.
I think she is also a beautiful woman. Or I also believe she is a beautiful woman. Yeah, no, it's just great movie. He played, the main character writes an opera, and this, like, record producer, head executive at this label, basically signs him on to, like, use his music and then steals it from him and, like, kind of uses it in these, like, Beach Boys type music, like, very, like,
Like surfer
60s,
surfer
like,
rock.
yeah, and really, like, bastardizes it, and he gets really upset, and he, like, tries to go back in, and he becomes, like, horribly disfigured and starts haunting the show, unless Jessica Harper sings his songs the way that they were originally intended to be sang. And yeah, it's a great movie. I highly recommend it. I don't even know where to begin on, like, why I think it made this list. It's really well directed. It's very stylistic.
Yes, it is.
Apparently this movie is, like...
It's on a ton. I know Edgar Wright loves it.
Like apparently a bunch of, like,
on his, like,
filmmakers.
1,000 favorite films, it's, like, really high up. Like, within the top 100, I believe.
Apparently this movie's, like, one of the most influential movies.
Which is funny, because, like, most mainstream people do not know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Because,
like, I had no fucking idea what
this
it was.
movie's kind of an offshoot. Like, you can definitely tell it was inspired by the Rocky Horror stage show, but it came out 1 year before the Rocky Horror movie.
And it is much better.
Personally,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like Rocky Horror.
I do too, but I like this movie a lot more. I can understand why people would like Rocky Horror more if they relate with the themes more, but personally I relate with the themes of this film a little more.
Yeah, I too am horribly disfigured.
Yes.
And haunting a theater.
This movie's about looking weird and haunting theaters and not about artistic integrity or anything about that.
Fuck that.
But yeah, no, this is just a really great movie. It's from Brian De Palma. If you don't know who he is, he directed things like Carrie and Scarface.
And Snake Eyes starring Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, So, check it out. It's fucking great. I love it. And not a lot of people know about it, so.
Alright. My number 12 is Wild Hogs.
Wow!
My actual number 12 is another sequel. It is a trilogy ender. It is from 2003, I want to say. Yes, 2003. Directed by the New Zealander Peter Jackson.
Okay.
I'm talking about Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Now, I know a lot of people prefer the Two Towers, but personally, I think that films, trilogy cappers, I think hit me a lot harder, just because they're the end to these stories. And I really, 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 really like Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. I watched it so much as a kid. I had all three on DVD, but I would just put on the third every single time, because there's so many epic moments in the film.
God.
And using epic as, like, because legitimately it is like an epic saga.
Yeah, no, it is an epic. Like there's the call to adventure. There are the obstacles they have to overcome.
And I know these are
It's got
pretty
all, like,
normie answers, by the way, for my top 15. But I do think that this is not just like an incredible film, but it's also insanely influential on like modern day blockbusters.
See, I find it funny that you included a Peter Jackson movie, because I also included Peter Jackson.
Meet the Feebles.
Don't spoil it. No,
I think I know what it is.
You might have an idea.
The Lovely Bones.
Yeah, totally.
But everyone's seen this movie, I would hope. Like, the whole trilogy is really, really good. If you're gonna watch it, I would just watch the theatrical versions. I've seen the uncut version. I've seen the 4-hour version of The Return of the King, and like I enjoyed it. But if you're watching the films for the first time, just watch the regular version.
Yeah,
like the cut content doesn't add that much.
Yeah, those
it's
are for,
mostly
like,
just like
diehards.
Cool guy. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it with Elven subtitles. I'm gonna learn Elvish.
Maybe if you like the books, watch the extended cuts. Like if you read the books too, like you might get more out of the extended cuts. But
also, Viggo Mortensen's incredible. Like Viggo Mortensen, Orlando Bloom. What is it? Reese. What's his name? What's his fucking name? I feel terrible.
Elijah Wood.
What's his name? John Rhys Davies. Sean Astin and Elijah Wood. Oh, Ian McKellen. Everyone in this, I think, does a top-notch performance. Like, they're powerful. And Ian McKellen, especially. And Christopher Lee. But he was not.
I agree. I haven't picked...
Christopher Lee's not even in the third one, is he?
I don't remember. I haven't watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy in quite a
He's
while.
not. He's on the third person.
I've never contemplated picking a favorite out of that trilogy for some
That's-
reason. It feels like one cohesive
Yeah,
movie.
that's the thing.
It's not quite as like segmented as something like Star Wars feels, where every film
exactly
brings like its own like tone. It feels like one big story.
Yeah, no, and that's why I agree, and that's why I have to choose the third one, because I feel like it makes more sense to choose the final chapter of like this one long story, because the first one.
Do you think
like,
anyone's gonna just jump into the Return of the King without watching the first?
I mean, I think you'd probably have a better time because the first one just kind of ends. Like,
I personally fucking love the finale to the first one. I'm not gonna.
I do too, but I feel like
because they that's not where it ends in the book. The ending of the first one is the beginning of the second book.
Okay.
Because I think they came to that conclusion when they were like writing the movie, and they're like, "Oh shit, this just kind of would end." So I think they.
I do think it has a good ending, but I think that, like I said, I do also see it as one cohesive piece. So I thought the only logical thing was to pick the third one, and I have thought about which one I enjoy the most, and it is Return of the King. But I think they're all amazing.
Yeah, great trilogy. If you haven't seen them, start with the Hobbit trilogy. No, I'm joking.
The Hobbit one is okay. I enjoy the Hobbit one.
You know, if they had
cut
some of it and made it two movies,
yeah,
like they had originally planned to.
Like people were like, "Ooh, they should have just made it one," and I'm like, "Yeah, like I kind of agree, but
I think
I don't mind it being with two, but the third
3 was
a
too
mess,
much, especially since it basically reached the climax point at the end of the second movie, and then the third movie was just a lot of like.
Let's make more climaxes.
It's just like, oh my god.
All right, what do you got? Number 11. Should I put an epic countdown sound? Number 11.
Oh yeah. My number 11 is from 1975. It's from a director you might have heard of. Maybe. He's a little underknown, but his name is Stanley Kubrick.
Who's that?
You probably would recognize him most for Fear and Desire.
Killer's Kiss.
Killer's Kiss. Just a little side note. Stanley Kubrick's first movie for a really long time was The Killing. At least that's how it was perceived, because in the world of early home video, we didn't have such gems as Fear and Desire and Killer's Kiss, which were his actual 2 films.
That he
which
tried to burn all the copies of.
He hated so much that he tried to burn every copy of them. Which, honestly, they're not good movies, so I don't blame him. But, you know, you gotta start somewhere. And eventually, he wound up here at Barry Lyndon, which is my personal favorite Kubrick film.
Wait. Yes, I have that. I have that on my.
Oh, you had that on your list?
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, I've got 2 of them.
Oh, you probably looked at my letterbox and was like...
No, I remember.
We've watched some of these films together.
We have watched some of these films together, but I just realized that I have a couple on my list that are up. Back, I'm just gonna keep going. This movie is a picturesque story about an opportunist who lives in, I think it's 17th century Europe.
India. Oh.
Yeah, he travels all over the place throughout the movie. Like, I think it starts in Ireland and I think it ends in England.
I think so.
It's been a while since since the last time we watched.
Which was the same time we watched their movie.
Yeah, because we did period pieces for a movie club we do. Yeah, it's basically just kind of this rise and fall kind of story about just a dude. Like,
yeah, literally.
It's really hard to describe because it just follows this guy's life. The film starts off, you see that his father died in a duel, and like fatherhood's like a big theme in it. You'll see him come across like multiple like father figures, and he'll become like a father figure by the end of the movie. It's really hard to dive into like the plot without like just straight up telling you what happens in the movie. But it's a great watch. There's the lighting in this movie is mostly naturalistic. There's some scenes where they couldn't quite nail the inside, so they would like set up these big blaring lights and just put them like right outside the windows to kind of give this like ghostly, heavenly kind of light coming from the outside, which lit up the inside quite nicely. He had a camera lens that was designed for NASA. That way he could get the fucking natural lit candle light. And supposedly, that like camera lens is still better than most of the shit that's on the market for us today, unless you're willing to like probably shell out way more money than you already would be for a camera lens. Those are expensive.
$1 billion camera lens.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I highly recommend checking it out. It's not for everybody. You might like some of Stanley Kubrick's other movies more. But personally, this is my favorite. So yeah. What is your number 11?
My number 11 is the 1998 James Marandino film, SLC Pump.
Oh.
Starring Matthew Lillard.
I have not seen this one.
This one's about a bunch of punks in Salt Lake City, Utah in the 80s, I think? Yeah. And just them graduating high school and living their life after high school and getting into a lot of drugs and parties and shit. And I think it nails the punk aesthetic really well while also being a harsh reminder of how bad certain subcultures can get if you're not careful. And I watched this in high school, and it was, I think, a pretty big motivator for me to be a pretty good person. So I think it's a pretty, like, I think it's incredibly well made, and Matthew Lillard's amazing in the role. But it's also a big forming point for me as a person. So it's always going to be super important to me, even if I don't like it as much as other films. But I do love it, at least at this point in my life. But music's pretty great in this film. Matthew Lillard has big hair all the time, just like giant mohawks, and he goes like, "Fuck you, Dad," beats up neo-Nazis.
Whoa.
Does a bunch of drugs, steals beer, just great. It's a great movie. Jason Segel's in it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he plays this guy that's like, he looks like a nerd. He's like, has like a button-down shirt. He has like glasses, but then he'll like go crazy and just beat the shit out of everyone. It's amazing.
Huh. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that one's been on my watch list for a while. Need to get around to watching it eventually. What are we at? Number 10?
Number 10.
This one is a little movie from 1987. It's a sequel. It's from one of the directors on your list. I want to see if you can guess it based off the clues I gave you.
Ah!
Yeah, you know what it is.
Go ahead.
It is a little movie called Evil Dead 2,
Yes.
Dead by Dawn.
That was almost on my list.
Yeah, there were two movies last night where I was like going through my list. I'm like, wait, why the fuck is this movie not on here? And this was one of them. It hit me like a fucking rock because I was looking at it. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something, and this was it. I knew I had to put one of the trilogy on here. Army of Darkness is like a close second to me.
I still haven't seen Army of Darkness.
We're gonna fix that eventually.
Yeah.
But add it to your agenda. But this movie is fucking stellar. It's basically Bruce Campbell plays a character named Ashley Williams, who goes out to this random stranger's cabin in the woods with his girlfriend, and he finds a tape recording where somebody translated the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, and ends up waking up an ancient evil in the woods that begins possessing people, and it's basically just following Bruce Campbell's night through hell as he tries to survive, and
It's so good.
yeah. If you've never seen the first one, you can start with this one.
Yeah, like I saw this one years before I saw it.
Yeah,
It's like a weird loose remake, but also
every installment in the trilogy kind of does like a loose little like first 5-10 minute remake of the previous films. Because originally they were just gonna recap the first film in the beginning of this one, but there's like a rights issue, so they're like, fuck it, we'll just remake it in like 15 minutes and get the bear like just beats across. And I felt like that probably worked in this film's favor, because this movie is basically just a remake of the first one, but everything is like done much better. The first film was like their first film that they ever made.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like actor issues, a lot of like shooting problems. They didn't always like have everybody throughout the like process of making it. There's a lot of like stop motion. There's just a lot for early filmmakers to handle. They came back a few years later. They had a bigger budget because the home release of the first movie did extremely well, and there was a lot of great attention given to it when the first film was declared a video nasty there for a while. And yeah, Sam Raimi is just such a creative director, even back when he was starting. Like, he does interesting camera work, he experiments with that a lot. Lots of great sound design, just creativity just in the writing. You think this movie that is like 80% of just Bruce Campbell, I wouldn't say 80%, it's probably more like 20% Bruce Campbell alone in a cabin, but those scenes are fucking great. Bruce Campbell can carry a scene so well.
Effortlessly.
Yeah, he's just such a blast to watch. it's just such a corny, fun horror movie, and I love it. It's been one of my favorites basically my entire life.
Feel that. Amen, brother.
Amen. Worship Jesus.
All right. Mine, number 10, is the only animated film on the list. And I just rewatched this yesterday. It's Lilo and Stitch.
Oh.
It was going to be either Lilo and Stitch or Princess Mononoke. But I rewatched Lilo and Stitch and I cried my eyes out because I'm a little bitch. I grew up in Hawaii. That's a big part of who I am. And this movie made me very fucking homesick. But I also think that it's beautifully animated and it's really fucking funny. I think it's really funny. And it's also it's about an intergalactic alien who makes an experiment. It's this weird little guy named Stitch who likes to kill things. And he crash lands on Earth. And he meets a little 6-year-old Hawaiian girl. And they become best friends. And he learns family. And it's very sad. I think the movie's very sad. And I think that it's also one of the more grounded in realism movies that Disney has made, which is weird because it's about aliens. But the themes of loss of family and what it means to have a family are probably the most potent that I've seen in most Disney films. So it's just really, really good.
Quick, do your best Stitch impression.
How? That's close again. It's pretty good. Ohana means family. Family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. It's like kind of a golem used with Stitch.
Yeah. He's enunciating words better than I think Stitch, or you're enunciating words better than I think Stitch would be, but that's fine.
Yeah, so that's my number 10.
Oh. Okay. My number 10. I lied. My number 10 was Evil Dead 2. My number 9. Wow, I made this number 9.
It's number 9.
Something I just want to say before I talk about this movie. My list, at least I don't know about your list, is not in any exact order.
Mine's not.
Just because something's at number 15 and something's at number 10 doesn't mean I don't know. It's interchangeable. I change my mind a lot. But this film is 2004. Charlie Kaufman. I think you pronounce his name differently. I'm probably going to slaughter this, but I think it's Michel.
Gondry?
Yeah. Is that how? Because I thought it was Michael Gondry.
I think it's Michel Gondry.
Yeah. But I was going to look at your fucking copy of Be Kind, Rewind there, but I couldn't pull it out.
Oh, they were pulling out Barbershop too. I'm like, I don't think he made that one.
But, yeah, this film is great. I fucking love this movie.
What movie? You didn't say.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just assumed people would know, I guess. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I had a hard time choosing between this one and Being John Malkovich.
Great movie.
Really, any of the Charlie Kaufman movies I've seen, I could have put here. I think everything that man fucking writes is just so fucking amazing. But I went with this one probably because it's his most accessible movie. Maybe Being John Malkovich, but this is the one that I think is his most popular. Jim Carrey's in it, so is Kate Winslet. And David Cross is also in it. Elijah Wood's in it. Mark Ruffalo's in it. Kirsten Dunst is in it. This movie's got a really good cast.
Fortnite's in it.
Yeah, Fortnite's in it. There's epic dabbing. There's a
Jim
scene
Carrey
where Jim
invented
Carrey
gravity.
drinks Monster and punches hole in drywall. I'm just kidding. None of that happens in the
Yeah,
movie.
Jim Carrey's not actually in it.
Yeah, Jim Carrey is not actually in this movie. It's actually... I was looking at posters on your wall trying to pick an actor. Armie Hammer is in it. I'm just kidding. Armie Hammer's not in this movie. It's Jim Carrey. Gotcha. The audience just got pranked. Yeah. So the basic plot of this film is Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. Her name in the movie is Clementine. I can't remember Jim Carrey's character's name.
Jim Glary.
Jim
And Kate Winslet.
But essentially, they were in a relationship for a couple years. It ended badly, and she erases him from his mind. And there's like this company that can go in. They can you give them like a bunch of items that you associate with specific memories, and they take like brain reading scans, and they basically like go in and like nullify and like repress the memories. I don't know. The logistics of it are not important. It just kind of serves as an outlet for the exploration of these two characters' relationships. And it's a fucking great movie. I absolutely love it. This is one that I highly recommend everyone check out. Even if you don't like romance movies, I think that this movie is...
Yeah, it's a romance movie, but it's also a mindfuck movie. So.
Yeah, it's great. I love movies that can get inside a character's head and have, like, a decent explanation for why they're, like, in the character's head. So, this movie gets that point. I really like that. I like movies that can get, like, psychological and kind of trippy like that. But yeah, so this is a great movie. Check it out. I don't know what to say about it. Charlie Kaufman is a great writer. I fucking love the man. He's directing a movie for Netflix here pretty soon based off of a book called I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which as soon as I had found out about that about a year ago, I bought the book and I read it.
Was it a good book?
I thought it was a pretty alright book, but given how
he
Kaufman
did
tends to
adaptation.
adapt novels, I'm interested to see what he does with it, because I don't think he'll be sticking too close to the source material. If I had to guess, I'd say he'd probably diverge in quite a few ways. But, yeah, so... What's your number 9?
My number 9 is actually pretty similar, has similar themes of exploration of drugs and punk scenes and stuff like that, like SLC Punk.
Is this what I think it is?
Probably. Came out 1996, directed by Danny Boyle.
Yeah, this is exactly what I thought
Ewan
it was.
McGregor. I'm talking, of course, of the classic Trainspotting.
See, when you were talking about SLC Punk earlier, this film came to my mind. I'm like, oh shit, I should have put that on my list. It's not on my list, though. But I fucking love this movie.
Trainspotting is... I watched it in high school as well, and I do think it was very formative for what I did with my life and how I act as an adult. It was a very powerful film. I think it still is very powerful, and I think that there's a lot of really great imagery. Like, there's a cool scene with a baby that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Also, it's literally just about a guy who does a bunch of drugs and gets into a bunch of shit and tries to get off the drugs and stuff like that. And I think that it illustrates drug use extremely well, which is hard for a lot of films to do, and it's usually my problem with most films about drugs, and I think Trainspotting has it.
Alright. I fucking love Trainspotting.
There's not really a lot to say about Trainspotting because it does have... It's a dense film, in my opinion, but it has kind of a bare-bones plot. So it can more explore the characters, which makes the film so much fucking better.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Never watched the sequel though. Need to.
I need to also. I have it.
I've heard mixed things.
I've heard mostly pretty good things. Like not amazing. But
See,
like,
I've
pretty
heard
decent.
mixed things, but kind of leaning towards the bad side. So I'm interested. I mean, we need to watch it eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 8 choice is a 1979 movie directed by Carl Reiner, who is the father of Rob Reiner, who directed Princess Bride and stuff like that. But Carl Reiner, his father, directed this movie, which is called The Jerk, starring Steve Martin. This is not like a dense movie at all. It's a basic rags to riches, back to rags story, and it just... Yeah. But it stars Steve Martin playing a bumbling idiot. Yeah, this...
Is he a jerk?
He is kind of a jerk.
Would you say he's the jerk?
You know, for the sake of how much I love this film, I will say he's the jerk. This movie is so fucking funny. It's slapstick, but it's not like quite the level of like Naked Gun slapstick. It's a little bit more grounded than something like that, or Airplane, but it's still got a really dumb slapstick sense of humor. This movie is just so fucking funny. I laugh my ass off every time I fucking watch it, and I've seen this movie a lot. And it's like a tight 90-minute movie. It's like this might be my favorite comedy movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoy this movie.
Okay. I have not seen The Jerk starring Steve Martin, directed by Carl Reiner.
Yeah. It might be, like, some of the humor in it might not necessarily land with modern audiences. It might be a little racy if you're, like, super progressive. The film's opening line is...
you know what's funny? Kill black people, haha!
Yeah, no, the film's opening line is, I was born and raised a poor black child in the South. And the plot of the movie is Steve Martin lives with this, like, black Southern family, and on his, like, 20th birthday, he finds out he's white. And it's basically about him going out and trying to, like, be somebody in the world. And, it's just a great little comedy. I absolutely love it. It's so fucking stupid. The humor is so dumb, but it's so timeless. I absolutely love this film. Hilarious.
My number 8 is the second oldest movie I have on here. Came out in 1957. Sidney Lumet, I believe his name is. Maybe Lumet. He's the director. Very critically acclaimed film. I have not met a single person who didn't love this film. I'm sure there are. I'm not going to blame them for loving it or hating it. 12 Angry Men. Brilliant, brilliant movie. I've seen it twice now, but I hope to watch it many, many more times to come. I really love films that can do something really powerful in only one setting. And for the vast majority of the film, 12 Angry Men takes place in a single room. They occasionally go to another room, but usually it's just that single room. And these 12 jurors are fascinating to watch. Them slowly reveal things about themselves. The whole plot of the film is just about these 12 jurors trying to decide if this young Hispanic guy should be put to death. If he gets a guilty from them, he will be put to death, pretty much. And they're trying to figure out yes or no. And it's an hour and a half, I believe. It's 97 minutes long. It's really compact, and it's really, really good. Like, it delves into racism. It's super, like, progressive and ahead of its time. Which I've heard things about a lot of Sidney's other works that have done the same thing. Like, I think he did a movie called Network. Let's see. Yes. Network with Faye Dunaway. But 12 Angry Men is top tier cinema that I think everyone should watch.
12 Angry Men is one of those movies. I haven't seen it, but I feel like I've seen it just simply because it's referenced in pop culture a lot. Like, you watch things like The Simpsons, or there's a whole episode of Family Guy that parodies it. There's an episode of King of the Hill that does a rip.
It's because Hank's in the original one.
Yeah, he's like, gosh darn it, this mower just ain't as great as the old model. And everyone's like, no, we vote for the new model. And he slowly convinces them one by one to vote for the old model. But yeah, that's just one of those movies that really influential pop culture scene. Alright, my number 7 choice is Clerks.
Clerks by Kevin Smith?
By Kevin Smith.
Wow, I was not expecting this. What a loser. No.
Kevin Smith.
Not Dogma?
No, not Dogma. Kevin Smith, when I was like...
Not Tusk?
Definitely not Tusk. See, I like Dogma, but Tusk I do not like.
Not Yoga Hosers?
Okay. Clerks.
Okay, shut the fuck up, London.
Clerks, yeah. I really like this movie. This is one of the movies that made me really, like, get into filmmaking and want to become a filmmaker. Around the age of, like, 11 to 12 is when I kind of discovered that about myself. And there were, like, 2 to 3 big movies that really sent me on that path, and this was one of them. This movie is just, it's about 2 convenience store workers, and it just kind of goes through their day. And it's great. Like, I really enjoy...
I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
I have not seen Clerks, or Clerks 2, or Mallrats.
You would probably enjoy the film just for the amount of that they talk about Star Wars in it alone.
I don't know. I love Star Wars. I have 2 Star Wars tattoos. But every time Kevin Smith talks about Star Wars, like in interviews or anything, I just kind of want to shoot myself in the head, and I don't know why.
It's not like conventional Star Wars talk. Like,
they talk about teak?
There's like one scene where they talk about like the logistics of like, and Return of the Jedi, like, how he kind of feels bad for, like, people who are, like, on the Death Star working on rebuilding it. And he's like, what the fuck? And then there's, like, a contractor who happens to be in the shop who talks about, like, a story where he almost worked on a house that belonged to, like, a famous gangster. But he was like, oh, I know the risk involved in that. So his friend took it. His friend was, like, shot and killed. And he talks about how, like, contractors have to, like, know the risk before they
know what they're doing.
Yeah, so there's just like lots of like interesting. This film is like comprised of just a bunch of like little scenes. It meanders a lot, but I feel like that really works for this film because it's about a couple of dudes who are in their 20s.
Yeah, meandering doesn't necessarily mean bad pacing. It could work well for it.
Yeah, and I think it works well in this movie. You get lots of, like, great little comedic scenes from, like, different sorts of customers that come in. It's got a lot of, like, great commentary on just customer service in general. There's one scene where, like, they make fun of customers who are like, excuse me, do you know where I can, like, find the new releases? And there's, like, a big fucking shelf behind him with a bunch of signs with arrows pointing at it that says, like, new releases in big bold letters. Just really funny stuff that I think anyone who's, like, worked retail or customer service can relate to. But yeah, no, this is just a good little movie. Very independently made, which is another reason why I put it on the list. I had, like, this big collector's edition on DVD. I still have it, where they talk about, like, the behind the scenes of the movie and just, like, a lot of the filmmaking involved. And I really enjoy this movie. This is my favorite Kevin Smith movie. I don't think he ever did
anything good again.
I won't say that. Like
I like Dogma. I really like Dogma.
I
like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I like Mallrats. I like
Tusk.
I don't like Tusk.
Yoga Hosers.
I never bothered Yoga Hosers.
But his daughter's in it. Harley Quinn Smith. Remember when he named his daughter Harley Quinn? That's a terrible name.
Remember when you named your daughter Teak?
Not yet.
Okay, my number 7. Thomas actually mentioned this film earlier.
Did I?
Yeah. Came out in 1956. It is the 3rd Stanley Kubrick film.
Oh.
The Killing.
Still haven't seen it.
It's... I fucking hate Killer's Kiss.
Yeah.
I think it's a dreadful film.
I think he made Killer's Kiss to make.
He made it.
Movie.
He said it that he's made it just to make money, to make The Killing, which in some ways makes me furious, but in other ways I think that The Killing is so worth it. I think it's amazing. It's one of the best heist movies ever made, and all of the acting's glorious, and there's some great shots, and everything's beautiful in black and white. It's my favorite Kubrick film, but I haven't seen all of them. Maybe Lolita will be my favorite. So
I don't think Lolita would be your favorite.
I don't think so either. I don't really want to say anything about the film because it has a lot of like, whoa, what's gonna happen? And it's pretty short. I think it's 90 minutes. Or maybe not. Maybe it's like 2 hours. No, it's 85 minutes. So, but if you have a chance, please watch this because Kubrick makes a lot of good movies, but this is legendary.
And just on a side note, this isn't on my list. I don't think it'd be on your list. Sorry if it is, and I'm fucking just dropping this film. Another great Stanley Kubrick movie that we haven't talked about. Not that he really needs very many shout-outs. I mean, he's like the most
shout out to you, dead guy.
acclaimed director over here in the fucking United States. But Doctor Strangelove, or
Never heard.
AKA How I Learned to Stop Worrying.
That is not on my list. Don't worry.
I think that's a great movie. I really enjoy that.
That is funny.
I think
a funny film.
Yeah, that's another one that I almost deem one of my favorite comedies. Okay.
If only Steve Martin was in character as the jerk in that film,
Yes.
then it would have been a masterpiece.
Yes. Alright. My number 6, King Kong.
King Kong, the 1931 or the 2009 one? Is it 2009? 2005.
2005. And
I was.
there was also one from, I think, 1976.
Oh, are you talking about the 70 ones?
No, I'm talking about the 2005 one.
Okay. I should have known this.
Earlier I was like, hey, Peter Jackson movie on my list.
It's not The Lovely Bones?
No, it's not The Lovely Bones.
I thought it might have been like
What'd you
Brain
think?
Dead or something.
Yeah, I was going to say what you think it was, like Dead Alive. This movie, I feel like a lot of people might be like, but what about the original? I like the original, but I like this one much more. I saw the original one around the same age that I saw this one because I went and saw this movie like 5 times in theaters. I fucking loved it so much. I was like,
I didn't see it until like a year and a half ago.
Let's see, it was 2005, so I would have been around 8 when this movie came out, and it rocked my 8-year-old world.
I'm going to say your 8-year-old cock.
I don't think I'd like this movie as much if it rocked my 8-year-old cock. I'd probably have a lot of weird feelings about this movie if it did that.
King Kong made me erect.
But yeah, I just feel that compared to the original one, this movie handles the characters a lot better.
Yep.
I like how they take lines from the original and incorporate it into the movie that they're making in the remake.
Yeah.
If I had like one major gripe with the remake, there's this one character who they build up for like the first part of the movie named Jimmy, who is just like this kid on the ship, and he gets a lot of like character build up, a lot of like story, like lines, and just things seeming like, oh, he's gonna amount to something, and then he just disappears from the film.
Yeah, he was King Kong the whole time. Duh.
But outside of that, I really fucking enjoy this movie. A lot of people complain about its runtime.
I think it's
like
perfect.
they do with Return of the King. But I think this movie's runtime is fucking great. I enjoy it. I wish there was more.
Me too.
I love King Kong. I even love
Jack Black is amazing.
Yeah, Jack Black's another common complaint I hear about this movie, but I think he fucking
I think he's one of the best parts. I think Adrian Brody's also really good.
I think everybody's really good in this movie.
Agree.
Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on her name? I love her so much. The main actress in this movie who plays Anne. She's in Mulholland Drive and Twin Peaks. I should know this.
Naruto? Is it?
I'm just like brain farting on her name right now.
Do you mean Naomi Watts?
Naomi Watts! Yes, she does a great job in this movie. She brings this whole layer of depth to Anne that wasn't there
Johnny
in the original
Depp.
movie. Yes, Johnny Depp. Or if you want to be more in line like his career, it'd be Johnny Depp. Yeah, because in the original King Kong, Anne is just kind of a screaming...
Alcoholic.
Not an alcoholic, damsel in distress.
Yeah, she's not a real character.
And they really changed that in this movie, which is why I put it above the original. That and it just makes... It tugs on the heartstrings way more. I cried like a fucking bitch when I rewatched this, 6 months ago.
When Adrian Brody trips and hurts his knee, Thomas just fucking goes off. He goes, Adrian!
I'm like, why? Your knee was so perfect. It's gonna be scarred. It'll never be the same.
Okay. Were you done with your thoughts?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't want to spoil the movie. I'm sure everyone knows.
It's about a monkey.
Oh, yeah. It's about...
Big monkey.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the lore of King Kong. They go to island with monkey. Monkey mad. Monkey take girl.
Yeah.
They try to get girl back and get monkey.
Yeah. Pretty much, I mean.
Yeah. Except he's a gorilla.
There's the iconic, fucking...
He goes, monkey see, monkey do, monkey gonna come get you.
Yeah, if you don't know about this movie, somehow, welcome to Earth. I hope that you enjoy your stay. I don't see how you will, but you might. I know one way you can start. You can start with watching King Kong from 2005.
Yes, I agree.
Alright, what's your number 6?
Okay. 1977.
1977, huh?
Yeah?
Gee, I wonder.
What do you think it is? Go ahead and say it.
Okay. 1977.
Yeah? Nope.
Okay. It's not what I thought it was. I don't know that... I knew it came out roughly at some point.
There were three possible choices that came out in 1977 that I think are genius films. That's Star Wars: A New Hope, that's Hausu, and my pick, Suspiria, by Dario Argento.
That, I didn't even fucking think about that. I figured if you were going to put any Suspiria on this list, it would have been the new one.
See, I juggled with the thought of watching. I've only seen the new one once, though. The old one I've seen 2 or 3 times now. So, I chose the old one. I think that I really like a lot of the effects works in the film. I think it's funky, it's fresh. I think the dog's bad, but I can forgive the dog.
Didn't you like Inferno more than Suspiria?
No, I love it. I love Inferno, but I love Suspiria.
Okay.
Inferno is a great film, though, in my opinion.
Inferno is like is a sequel.
Yeah, there's it's part of the Three Mothers trilogy, which is a loose trilogy of films that's made up of 2 genius films and another film.
Yeah.
Anyway, Suspiria is beautiful. I could go on and on about the use of color in the film. The reds, the blues, the greens. The last review I put up on Letterboxd about Suspiria was literally just talking about me trying to dissect what the different colors mean and the use of them. And it's really beautiful. I love watching it. Even like the very first scene where Jessica Harper from Phantom of the Paradise is in the taxi and red is flashing across her face and then blue is it's genius.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of great stuff about this movie. The soundtrack is Goblin.
By Goblin is amazing.
Yeah. Soundtrack for both Suspirias.
Yes, like I think that I would like to talk about, I would like to have a day where we talk about
just the 2 Suspiria
because
movies.
I think they're vastly different. Like, that's another remake that I am so glad that happened because I love them both. They're both, I would say that the new one is also one of my favorite movies, but I haven't seen it twice, so I can put it on the list. But Tom York makes a beautiful, haunting soundtrack for the new one. And I think it is more tonally consistent and cohesive. I think that some of the original Suspiria soundtrack is just this is a good song! But it doesn't really, make 100% sense for the scene it's in. But I still think the movie's a fucking masterpiece. Oh, I love the film. And I just watched it, again, 2 months ago, but I'm already ready to watch it again. So yeah, that was my number 6.
My number 5.
Christmas with Your Pranks.
This one was like a split hair decision because I looked at this director and I went, it's not Spider-Man 2.
Is Spider-Man 2 not on your list?
It's not on my list.
Yes, somebody's not going to be my friend anymore.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, Spider-Man 2 is probably my favorite superhero movie, but I don't have any superhero movies on this list.
You have Howard the Duck on your list?
I don't have Howard the Duck on my list.
Okay.
This was a split hair decision. This was the second movie I had watched by this director.
The Rocketeer?
No. A great movie, though, by Joe Johnston. Anyway, this movie is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos.
Ooh, is it?
Ooh. And it is The Lobster.
Okay.
It was almost Killing of a Sacred Deer, because Killing of a Sacred Deer was the first movie by him I had seen. I'm just gonna... Anyone out there who knows Yorgos Lanthimos, I haven't seen Dogtooth yet, which I hear is
I've heard is genius.
Probably his best film from what I've heard. I need to see it. I've seen this, I've seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Favorite, which just won a bunch of awards.
His first film or something?
And then I watched his first film from over in Greece called My Best Friend, which I thought was pretty good. I really enjoyed that one. It wasn't like a fucking phenomenal film, but it had enough style and character to make me really enjoy it. I turned it on to see if the subs would work, and I ended up watching the whole fucking movie. So
perfect.
But The Lobster, just to sum it up real quickly, is this movie that takes place in this world. Yeah, once you reach a certain point in your life, you have to be married. If you don't, they send you to this big hotel full of other people who are not yet married, where you kind of mingle around, try to find someone you have in common with, and get hitched. If you don't, then within I think it's 6 weeks they give them, then you are turned into any animal of your choice. And the main character's choice is a lobster, but hence the title of the film. And yeah, it stars Colin Farrell, John C. Reilly's in it. What's the name? I can't remember.
You just don't know women's names, do you?
Have I only been blanking out on women's names?
Yeah.
I mean, I blank out on names, period, but what's the name of the actress who just won, who was Queen Anne in The Favorite?
Oh, Rachel Weisz is in it.
Rachel Weisz is in it, and
That's
yeah, there's a couple people from The Favorite in it.
Leah Seydoux.
Yeah, that. But yeah, this is just a really great film. It's got a very unique and dry dialogue. It's very concise and to the point, as it is with a lot of Yorgos Lanthimos' movies. Killing of the Sacred Deer is very similar. You watch the movie, and you're like, why the fuck are the characters talking like this? I personally like it. It adds to its style, in my opinion. And this film has just got a really, kind of dark, dry sense of humor, and I laugh my ass off every time I fucking watch it. Which is why I probably put it above Killing of the Sacred Deer. I really like Killing of the Sacred Deer.
This is your favorite comedy.
I mean...
Not The Jerk.
Well, I don't consider this film just a straight-up comedy. I'd say comedy is probably its main genre, but I think it's a genre blender.
Ah. Like The Jerk.
Yeah, like The Jerk. Okay. But yeah, that was my pick for this one. I didn't want to dive too deep into the plot because it kind of goes different places. You've seen The Lobster.
Yeah, The Lobster was the first Yorgos Lanthimos film I
Okay.
saw. It's been probably 3 years,
Okay.
but so I don't remember it very much. I remember really liking it.
I couldn't remember if it was you or Joe who had.
Joe has not seen it.
So I've seen the three that we watched. We watched those two. So we saw Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Favorite, which I loved. The Favorite's honestly probably my favorite of them.
The Favorite's great.
You need to rewatch it though.
I do. I only saw it the one time in theaters.
Me too. Okay, my number 5 was on Thomas's list way back when.
What?
Phantom of the Paradise, baby.
Oh, nice.
That's the one I knew was gonna be on both our lists.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
that's it.
This is our.
I don't really have anything else to say, except that the Paul Williams did pretty much the entire soundtrack, and it's brilliant.
Paul Williams. Okay. Any of you out there who don't know who Paul Williams is, shame on you. Look him up. He is a musician, and he is great.
And he looks like a little elf.
Yeah, he was on Dexter's Lab. He was on an episode of that. He does so much. Oh god, I remember going through his body of work and he did something else that really took me by surprise. I'd have to look it up though. I don't remember off the top of my head. He did the soundtrack for the Broadway musical Pan's Labyrinth.
I didn't know Pan's Labyrinth had a Broadway musical, but now I need to.
I don't know if it ever came out, but I remember reading that he had written music for a play, for a musical adaptation.
That's
of
amazing.
that movie.
But he's great.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. I love Paul Williams.
But Phantom of the Paradise is, I just love it. Also, when I said William Finley earlier, I realized that's the actor's name.
I had that thought when you said that.
Winslow. was the
Winslow,
character.
that's what it was. Okay.
Jessica Harper's name is Phoenix in it.
Yeah.
But
William Finley passed away just recently, didn't he?
a couple years ago.
ago.
But I love the film. I'm so glad Thomas showed it to me because there are so many great songs in it. And like I said, I really, really love music movies, so this was a top contender. That's all I gotta say, though. As Thomas talked about a little earlier. So.
Yeah. All right. My number 4 was a movie that I was contemplating not putting on this list because I questioned.
You just put the Spider-Man 2 on there just now, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I didn't change anything. I had accidentally pressed the screen with my thumb and popped up the keyboard, so I did. Because I don't really consider this a film, but it technically is, but it kind of isn't, and it's okay. It's End of Evangelion.
Oh, okay. I have not seen Evangelion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be very, very light whenever I describe anything about this movie, because I don't want to spoil it.
It's
for
some
anybody.
weeb shit.
Yeah, it's my favorite anime, and basically, when they were doing the anime, they ran out of budget for the last couple episodes, so they got really experimental with it, and a lot of people hated the anime's original ending. This was the original planned ending, but he obviously added some stuff in, the director, because he received death threats over the anime's ending. And
yeah, I heard from somebody that after he made this, he kind of he was institutionalized for a little, or he was or he got help because he was in such a bad mental state.
I hadn't heard that he was institutionalized.
And then he made Fully Cooley. He made Fully Cooley?
He didn't make Fully Cooley. Gainax, the studio that made
Maybe
Evangelion.
the person that I was talking to recently is a fucking liar.
He voices a cat in Fully Cooley.
Well, that's about the same.
Yeah. Voicing a cat, making the show. Totally the same. But he might have been a producer on Fully
What's his name?
Hideaki Anno.
Yes, there he is.
He's
sexy.
Yeah, I know. I love Anno.
Oh yeah, he did Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, he directed Shin Godzilla as well. Yeah, so basically he made this movie to appease the fans, give an ending that was... The fans were expecting an ending that made sense, but he kind of went the fuck you route with it. And
Good.
I love this movie. This movie is so amazing. It has so much to say about self-identity, self-worth, love, all sorts of different just themes that this movie is so hard to fucking describe. Even if you had seen it and I wasn't trying to spoil it, trying to boil this movie down into a comprehensible review or anything is just really hard to do. So instead of giving a plot
I thought
synopsis,
this was gonna be your top, top 2.
Typically, I would for a while there, I was going around and I was saying this was my favorite film, but like I said, I have a hard time considering it a standalone film, so I didn't want to put it at my number 1. So I'll give a basic, light synopsis of the plot of the anime, and it's basically
robots.
Yeah. The year is 2015. It was the future back in
Still
1995 when
one day we'll hit 2015 again.
Yeah, well, the Big Bang will happen again. It's like that episode of Futurama where just the universe cycles. But it's 2015. There are these kaijus that attack Earth they call them angels. I could dive a little bit into the lore of the show, but I'm not going to. And basically, 14-year-olds and mechs have to fight the angels. It sounds generic as fuck, but I promise you it's not. Just give it a try. The first couple episodes, I don't know. A lot of people will watch the first couple episodes and turn it off immediately because they hate the main character. And if you hate the main character of this show, I don't blame you. He's a very unlikable character, but...
Like you.
Yeah, like me. But,
God, I got the zingers out the wazoo today.
he's very human for a 14-year-old boy. So.
Yeah, unlike most 14-year-olds who are robots until they turn 18, and they finally become human.
Yes. Anyway, what's your number 4?
My number 4... Can't remember. Ah, yes! 1973. Alejandro Jodorowsky.
I thought this might... I didn't write it down, but, like...
The Holy Mountain. Now, I've only seen 2 of Jodorowsky's films. This and Santa Sangre. And I was kind of thinking about putting Santa Sangre on the list also. Because that movie is incredible. It has a little more structured narrative than The Holy Mountain. But it's really good also. However, The Holy Mountain just takes the cake because of its insanely well-made visuals and its unadulterated creativity and artistry behind it. There's so much to absorb in like every scene, and I love this film so much, and I'm so happy I saw it. And the ending is so good.
Yeah.
And it comes out of left field. Oh.
This movie is like the best way that I could probably
it's like a fever dream.
It's like the whole movie is like you, the audience member, going on a spiritual journey.
It's like when you're a kid and you get like 105-degree fever, and a little elf like finds you in your dreams and takes you on a little mystical journey where you meet rich people that want to become immortal. The basis of the story is that there's a poor man who's Jesus, and he meets an alchemist, and the alchemist takes him and a bunch of rich people to be invincible.
Yeah, this is another one of those movies just really hard to sum up.
Yes, exactly. But I love it. It's a must watch. That's why it's in my number 4 slot.
You ready for my number 3?
I'm ready. I think I know what it is.
What's your guess? Okay. Well, okay. So this movie is from 1977. It's another movie that's very hard to sum up. It is a film by David Lynch.
What? You put Star Wars on the list?
Yeah, David Lynch's Star Wars. This is Eraserhead.
Oh, that came out in 77. Jesus.
Yep.
Feel old. It came out 20 years before I was born.
Yeah. This movie...
David Lynch is sexy.
I agree. Yeah. What the fuck do I even say about this movie?
I don't know. I don't even remember Eraserhead. Like, I've seen it a couple of times, and every time I'm just like, it just happened.
Yeah, this movie is just such a trip. It's about it's
about an Eraserhead.
No, so there's the main character Henry, who's played by Jack Nance,
Nicholson?
No, Jack Nance, who's the dude with the funny hair. And this movie took like 6 years to make, and he had that hair the entire time, which is dedication, because that is one heck of a hairdo to rock for 6 years.
Did he just straight? Or did he wear it down? What did he do? Did he just keep it like that?
I don't know if he kept it like that, but he might have.
Because I feel like you just wear it down. Maybe
He probably wore it down. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Just have a really big top hat.
I wasn't there in 1977.
Why not?
I wish I was. I wish I could have been there for the making of this movie. But essentially, there's this dude named Henry, and he has this kid with this woman who kind of ditches him. And he's stuck, and it's like this horribly disfigured, monstrous baby. And the film is very light on narrative. It's just kind of a trip. Like, oh my god, I don't even know.
Yeah,
Like what, I get something new out of this movie every time I watch it. There's so many, like, little weird details, so many, like, different meanings that you can interpret. It's like watching a new father's nightmare, which I think is the intent behind a lot of David Lynch's work, is to make you feel like you're kind of in a fever dream, kind of like what you were just describing with Holy Mountain. His movies are very dreamlike. They often focus on, like, the darker side of, like, you know, the happy suburban life. And this is, like, his first movie. Yeah, it's just full of a bunch of weird, funny moments, like the bleeding chickens. They're new! And it's just like this chicken that's, like, moving around and bleeding on the plate. What that means...
The fuck was that?
Oh, was that... Did I make that?
Yeah, I was like... What the was Thomas a fish?
I'm just, like, over here flailing on his chair, making weird noises.
You are a David Lynch film.
I fucking am. Yeah, there's, like, meeting the parents is extremely awkward. The dad's like, look at my knees, they're new! And it's just like... Yeah, this movie's a fucking trip. Anyone who hasn't seen this movie, whether you're into weird movies or not, watch this. It's something I think everyone has to experience at least once.
Yeah, even if you hate it.
Even if you hate it. This movie's not for everyone, but I think everyone should watch it.
Speaking of movies not for everyone, my next film is a film from 2010. It was on release. It was banned in like 8 countries. I have watched this film over 50 times. I am, of course, talking about the classic Srđan Sposojevic film, a Serbian film.
Can I chime in a little bit here?
Go ahead.
Okay, so me and London, we met for the first time a little over a year ago, probably.
Yeah, we met 15 months ago.
Okay, and we both movie guys. We obviously talked about movies, and he relentlessly recommended this movie to not only me, but everyone he came across. And for basically the entirety of the 15 months I've known you, because we watched it, 2 months ago?
Yeah, about.
Yeah, so I finally got to see it, and he built this movie up.
I did. And you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was just leaving it out like a dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Speak. It's your pick.
Not everyone's gonna love this film. A lot of people will fucking hate it. It is an incredibly intense, visceral experience.
It's a great comedy.
It's not a comedy. Don't listen to Thomas when he says his funny joke. But I think that its brutality goes so far into something that loops to kind of being beautiful. I might be a psychopath, though. But I think that Srđan Todorovic playing the role of Milos, that's some top-tier acting. And the soundtrack is one of my favorite soundtracks in, like, any film. A lot of it is, like, ambient or, like, industrial noise. And it's just makes me calm.
But the film's very intense, and I think it's very well acted, and I really like a lot of the practical effects in the film. There's a scene with a baby, so I'll say. But one of the reasons it was banned was because people thought the baby was real. I don't see it now, but this did come out 9 years ago. It got in a bunch of flack because they're like, this movie has actual abuse in it. It doesn't. It's just talking about how the government's fucking them in Serbia. So yeah, my Serbian brothers and sisters, resist. But yeah, I really, really love this movie. This is the culmination of everything in high school that I think made me who I am today. I think, while you would think that a movie like this, watching it every week for an entire year, which is what I did, would make you some kind of evil, crazy person, I think that it legitimately made me a more empathetic and likable person, because seeing so much hatred in a film, I think, put me off of that idea. And I think has made me a more jovial and happy-go-lucky guy. So, Serbian film is one of the defining films of my life, which is a very weird thing to say.
Anyone who hasn't seen this movie and takes your recommendation from it is going to watch it and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is he memeing? Which he's not. He's being sincere.
I'm being sincere.
Which,
I might need to call a doctor.
We'll probably end up doing an episode on this eventually, because I'm sure they'll probably want to hear more from you, and I've heard him actually talk about this film with the context of what happens in it, and I think he's got some pretty insightful ideas on the film.
I want to become a Serbian film historian.
Hey, I'm a film historian. I only do it for one film, though.
I say, yeah, I'm a Serbian film historian. Like, oh, so what kind of Serbian films do you like? I'm like, no, sorry. A Serbian film. The film. A Serbian film. All right, number 2 for you, Thomas.
My number 2...
The Muppets.
No. My number 2...
Critters.
No. My number 2 is from 1978. It features a soundtrack by Goblin, who did the soundtrack for Suspiria.
What did they do in 78?
It's this beautiful hybrid co-production between Italy and the United States called Dawn of the Dead.
Ah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen it. It's over there. You should watch it sometime.
By Mr. Romeo.
Yeah, George A. Romero. And I talked about earlier... Oh, thank God, I thought I knocked that over. I talked earlier about films that had a major influence on me wanting to become a filmmaker. This was the main one. This was the one that really lit that fire in me. I fucking love this movie. It's a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, but really with any of these movies, they don't share the same characters. The only way it's a sequel is kind of the way that the zombie apocalypse kind of progresses throughout the films. They all follow different sets of characters, so you can jump straight into this one. I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of the 2004 remake by Zack Snyder, which is my favorite film by him.
They're going to say your favorite film. That's my number 1.
Zack Snyder is not a very good director, in my opinion, but some of his earlier works had some promise.
He did 300?
He
did 300?
He did 300.
That was okay.
Yeah, that's why I said his earlier films, because he did things like...
He did Batman vs. Superman, though.
Yeah.
That's your favorite film?
No.
What?
Anyway.
That's not your number 1?
No. I think you need to check your list that you wrote earlier.
Fuck, dude.
Because that's not on it. But, yeah, it's basic plot. People taking refuge in a mall during the zombie apocalypse. They're kind of at each other's throats at first, but then they learn to kind of get along and shit happens. It's a great movie. I really enjoy it. It's not like deep or profound. It's pretty tame for a zombie movie by today's standards, but it's just got like such a fun, light atmosphere. Like all the zombies, they were like painted gray, but because of the type of film they shot on, a lot of them come out looking like this like bright kind of like sky blue, and the blood's like this like really bright hyperistic red. It's a really interesting like visual style. Apparently they got permissions to shoot at a real mall at night, so they had to like shoot a scene, and then by morning they had to make sure that they like cleaned up and had everybody out of there. So they had to like clean up all this like fake blood and like visceral that's just everywhere. And yeah, no, it's a really fun zombie movie. It's the one that I watched the most, and it's the one that lit my fire. Personally, I think Night and Day are both better films.
And Shaun.
I think Shaun of the Dead is really great and probably a better film, but I really like this movie. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Who's your number 2?
This is my number 2.
My number 2. You knew it was coming. South Korea, baby. Here we go. We're talking about the Bong Joon-ho film, Memories of Murder. Loosely based on real-life events that happened. In South Korea, they had a killer in, I can't remember what province it was called, but it's pretty much their Zodiac killer. Never caught, never found. There was a movie about it, starring Song Kang-ho, who is, I think, the greatest actor living today. I'm in love with him. If anyone knows him, give him my phone number, please. I would appreciate it.
Are you gonna give it out to the listeners so they can give it to them in case they see
Well, no, just have him message me on Facebook. This movie, every single part of it, I think, is masterfully done. The direction is beautiful. Bong Joon-ho is also my favorite director, because I'm a Korea boo. I'm very excited for Parasite.
So am I.
It was sponsored.
It's my favorite. One of my favorite
But
artists.
not only that, but the composition is really, really good in it. And the cinematography, beautiful. The guy who did it is Kim Ko. He also came back to work with Bong Joon-ho on The Host, which is a great monster film. But Memories of Murder is, I would say, the best crime movie ever made. It's amazing. Song Kang-ho is amazing in it, and in the partner that he has, what was his name? Hold on.
While he looks for that, this movie rocked my world too. Like, I almost put it on this list, but I've only seen it once, and I didn't feel it met the criteria to become one of my favorites. But if we were to do one of these in the future, it might be on my favorites list. I fucking love this movie. What's the dude's name?
Kim Sang-hyun. He plays Detective Se Tae-yong, who comes in. He's from, like, Seoul. He's, like, does things more by the book. The film is about terrible people. Like, Song Kang-ho plays a terrible person. He's, like, a really bad guy. They're all pretty bad people. But throughout the film, he legitimately gets better as a person and as a cop. Like, there's so much character development put into this. And Bong Joon-ho has an incredible talent for inserting comedy into his films that never takes away from the tone of the film.
Yeah, it always feels like genuine, like something in the real world that like you would find funny, but not like they stop.
And it doesn't even feel like comedic relief. It doesn't like lighten the mood at all. If anything, it makes the scenes feel more realistic. So if anything, the comedy just makes the film more tense. Also, there's a scene on the outside of a tunnel at the end of the film that is so well acted and so well shot.
Oh my god.
And
so good.
I legitimately want to watch the movie right now because it's one of the best films I've ever seen. So, Memories of Murder. Beautiful.
I agree. That movie's fucking awesome.
Alright, Thomas, you're number one.
Alright, you know what my number one is.
Critters. Wild Hogs.
1986 Critters. This film is absolutely great. It stars a young... Oh, God. The dude who does the voice of Steve on American Dad. He's in the movie. He's also in the
Is
sequel.
Critters actually your favorite?
No, Critters is not my favorite, but I do like Critters, which is why I started talking about it a little bit. It's fun Gremlins knockoff. Yeah. If London's little music cue there didn't give it away, it is Little Shop of Horrors, directed by Frank Oz.
What?
Little Shop of Horrors.
But okay.
Am I not enunciating well enough on that
No,
one?
you are. I'm just making fun of you again.
Okay. From 1986. It is...
Yes, I knew that was going to be on there.
Yeah. This movie... I watched it a lot when I was a little kid. I may have seen this movie more than I've seen any other movie. And that's simply just because it's
More than Fright Night.
More than Fright Night.
Wow.
I watched a lot in my adolescence. Just this movie is so great. The special effects, the casting, the music. I love the idea of a fucking sci-fi horror comedy rock musical. Like, it's great. If you don't know what the plot of this film is, Rick Moranis plays Seymour Krelborn, a sexy orphan who lives on Skid Row.
All orphans are sex.
And he works in this little flower shop with the guy who basically took him in when he was a kid. And he's got this crush on this girl who's dating a fucking sadist.
Played by Steve Martin.
And he basically comes across this really weird Venus flytrap from outer space that will only eat blood, and it grows bigger whenever it consumes enough of it, and it basically, once it gets big enough to start talking, it basically starts enticing Seymour to, kill people in order to achieve fame, fortune, and to get the girl. And it's just a great movie. I love this movie. If you watch it, I highly recommend the director's cut. There's 2 endings to this film.
One for the pussies.
Yeah, one for the pussies and one for the real fucking viewers.
Both are fun.
Yeah,
I like the theatrical version fine. It's not as good, but I do still think it's a good
yeah. I think the theatrical version is good in its own way, but I prefer the director's cut just simply for the spectacle alone, and I really like that finale song.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out both versions of the ending, honestly. One of them is way longer than the other. The director's cut adds an additional 20 minutes to the movie, and so you can basically just watch that and then swoop in and watch the 5-minute tighter cut of the theatrical. But yeah, great movie. I fucking love it. It's one of my favorites. This is the other movie that I think of when I think of peak practical effects. The plant in this movie, Audrey 2, looks so fucking good, and it's all just puppeteering. They shot some.
I love puppets.
Yeah, puppets are great. the master, Frank Oz. Yoda, the man who
Yoda.
worked under Henson himself.
Reminder that Frank
Directed
Oz's
this.
favorite Star Wars character is Jar Jar Binks. Just wanted to put that out there real quick.
Thanks. Anyway, like they had like a bunch of puppeteers working. They like shot it in slow motion to sync it up with like the actors. It's so great. This movie's so fucking great. I love it. All right, what's your number one? I know what your number one is, but tell the audience.
All right, keyboard warriors,
Is it?
get ready.
Yeah.
In 1977, a little movie called Star Wars came out. It was a cultural phenomenon. It had two perfect sequels. Then it had a trilogy of perfection with the prequels. And then Disney bought them. And somehow they rebooted it. They did a sequel that was really good. But then Rian Johnson came into the picture and made the best movie ever made. There, I fucking said it.
God damn. Well, there weren't any possible subscribers we would have had.
The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars film. I will fight people on this. I will talk about The Last Jedi until the day I die. The characterization of Kylo, Poe, Luke, Rey, Finn, and yes, Rose is all amazing, and I love it. I love Canto Bight. I'm gonna say it. It reminds me so much of what I loved about Jabba's palace and his yacht in Return of the Jedi, but with new and interesting, cool aliens, and it just feels like a different side of the universe that we don't see, and I like exploring those things, and it has so many beautiful scenes. The throne room fight scene, the hyperspace thingy that happens, without spoiling. I know not everyone likes The Last Jedi, and there's a very vocal minority of people that think it's literally Hitler. Like, the movie is Hitler.
You say a vocal minority?
Yeah. It is a minority.
Is it?
Yes, it is a minority.
Everything I've seen, it seems like the vocal majority. But
It's not. It is a minority. Trust me.
okay.
Like, I've spent many hours.
You go through the Star Wars forums and all that, I'm sure, way more than I do.
But the problem is that the forums, the subreddits, everything about Star Wars got very, very toxic when The Last Jedi came out.
Dude, even shit that wasn't dedicated specifically to Star Wars was very toxic.
Yeah,
when it came
so,
out.
like, a lot of the people that liked The Last Jedi just left those forums.
Oh yeah.
Like, I left for like a year. I was like, oh, no, I don't.
I bet they still fucking talk about it.
Yeah, like,
They're gearing up. They're like, 9's coming, and I'm so ready to be angry.
well, they're like, oh, thank God JJ is fixing all the problems that. and it's
Fuck
just
JJ.
like-
I hate JJ.
I mean, I like
okay,
JJ Abrams.
nothing
okay,
against him,
but
it's a
I
person
think
or
he's.
anything.
I think he's a little too easy. He does things on the easy side. But I am very excited because there's a recent interview that JJ was like, The Last Jedi changed how I look at like the Star Wars universe and how I'm gonna like build this movie or something crazy. And I'm like, I like that. So I'm really excited for episode 9. Like I said, I have an unhealthy obsession with Star Wars and I love all of them. Except maybe the Clone Wars movie. That was pretty bad. And I'm sure there's some other ones I don't like. But, you know, If you don't like Star Wars, that's okay. If you don't like The Last Jedi, that's okay. Just don't send death threats, please. That's all I want. Anyway, that's my favorite movie, because I'm a scary. Anyway, how many were on your list that you got right?
So I was 3 for 4.
Okay.
I had a Serbian film, Muppets.
Oh.
I figured that would be on there. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Memories of Murder and The Last Jet.
Ah, The Last Jedi. I was 3 for 5, but that was before I knew you wouldn't put Memories of Murder. So I'm going to remove that, and then I'm 3 for 4.
Oh.
I said Little Shop of Horrors, Barry Lyndon, Phantom of the Paradise, and I thought you were going to put There Will Be Blood on there. I was a little surprised you didn't.
It crossed my mind, but I wanted to put movies on there that I didn't necessarily, like I said, think were the best, but that I just have the most personal kind of connections to.
Anyway, yeah, those are our 15 favorite films. It only took us 2 hours
to add up to a total of 29 movies.
Oh, yes. I'm like, what do you mean? We both went through 15. So, starting next week, we'll be focusing solely on, or mostly on 2 films a week. We might talk a little bit, 10 or so minutes, about some other films we've seen, kind of briefly, stuff like that. Maybe movie news if something crazy happens, whoa, Naruto, the movie's coming out.
We might just shoot some shit for a little bit, I don't know.
Maybe we'll talk about Wild Hogs again.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like that was the selling point of this podcast. Everyone, put on in the first few minutes and these guys are talking about Wild Hogs.
I'm in.
Yeah, and then they get to, our 3s and they're like, what the fuck? Holy Mountain? Eraserhead? What the fuck is this shit? I'm here for Wild Hogs.
Don't worry. The Holy Mountain's a sequel.
Yeah.
So, now we're gonna... Thomas, what is your pick? His is classic.
Yeah,
so 26 years or older.
I had the classic. Let me pull it up on Letterboxd so I can get the exact year. Because I just kind of winged it while I was at work. I wasn't exactly 100% if it was older than 25 years old, but it is. My choice is the 1991 film My Girl.
My Girl? Is it one about the dog?
No.
Whoa, is that Macaulay Culkin?
It does have Macaulay Culkin. It has Jamie Lee Curtis, Dan Aykroyd.
A comedy?
It's like a comedy drama. It's a kind of coming-of-age story. Brief synopsis, because I don't want you looking around on there too much, because there is a spoiler in the movie.
I can pick My Girl too.
Please don't. Please don't. I saw it once. It's not good. But the first My Girl, I really like. Yeah, it's basically this girl. She lives with her widower father. And they live. He's a mortician, so they have a morgue in their basement, and they have a funeral parlor in the first story of their house. And the movie's just a coming of age story. She's friends with little Thomas J, who is played by Macaulay Culkin.
Thomas J.
I know, right?
That's you.
It is that is my first name and my middle initial.
Wow, how'd they do that?
I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis plays this cosmetologist? It's makeup, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't sure.
No, that's the study of the cosmos.
But yeah, she takes the job on as applying makeup to the dead people, and she ends up kind of getting romantic with Dan Aykroyd, and yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I like it. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Very nice. It was called My Girl.
My Girl.
1991.
Like the song.
My Girl.
My girl. My girl.
Talk about
My girl. My girl.
Okay. I had two picks. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to go with. I was thinking about Phantom Thread, but my official pick is going to be the 2014 film The World of Kaneko by a director named Tetsuya Nakashima. It is a kind of like drama thriller film from Japan.
Okay. Let me write that down.
I have not seen it, but it's been on my watch list for quite a while. And I've heard it's pretty epic.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if you... Let me check where to watch on Letterboxd for my girl. This movie, according to Letterboxd, is on Prime Video.
hold on, I'll check. Just watch. The best app. If anyone ever needs a good app to find if something's available to watch, just watch. It will tell you everything it's available to watch, streaming, renting, and buying.
We're not sponsored.
It is not available to stream on Prime Video. However, it is free on Crackle with ads. So you can watch it on Crackle. You can watch it on Fubo TV, which I'm not sure, and you can watch it on Pluto TV, which I have not used.
What was the name of it
The
again?
World of Kaneko.
Kaneko with a K?
Yep, The World of Kaneko is available on Prime Video, Canopy, Shudder, Tubi TV, Screenbox, Realize, and the Shudder Amazon channel.
Okay, I just gotta say something about this poster. It was really small when my phone first pulled it up, and I totally thought that was Billy Ray Cyrus on the cover.
This one?
This
Oh,
one.
oh. So, when we talk about these films, we will be diving into spoilers.
Yeah.
So, if you care about spoilers, you should watch them. If not, just tune in and listen to our little shit talking. Or love talking. Love making.
Maybe. Who knows? It's a podcast. Anything can happen.
Anything that. We could have been naked, stroking each other off this entire time.
And you wouldn't have even known. Well, you probably would have heard it. Unless we removed the noise.
Yeah, noise reduction, Audacity, baby. Alright, so yes, those are what we will be watching and continuing on in the second episode of Weencast.
Yeah, screen weens. 2 weens and a screen. I don't know. What are we calling this?
Weencast.
Weencast?
Weencast.
Alright, this is the Weencast.
Where you cast your weens.
Yeah, this is the perfect place for it.
You should put it on Pornhub.
We should put this
I'm just gonna upload this to Pornhub also. Pornhub, YouTube, Spotify,
So you can-
iTunes.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to be on all those platforms.
Yeah.
Pornhub and YouTube, definitely.
I'm gonna also try to put them on USB drive and hide them in libraries.
Yeah, we're going to hide them all over the world.
Hey guys, this is the first episode of Weencast. If you're watching this from Paris, I hid a USB drive in a gutter.
Yeah. Freaking. Yeah, you can find our golden USBs, which have never before heard of footage on
Where it's just us coming.
them.
Alright, we should probably cut it here because we've been on for 7 years. But, till next time. Hey, I'm a ween.
Hey, you're a ween.
And you're watching
A screen.
Alright, bye everybody!